welcome back to Block TV, where it is time. It's that time of the week where we gather the wheelers and dealers of the sphere, have them, answer questions while they try to keep sober. And today, the victims, and then a treat. The victims, of course, joining us again, returning victim, Gil Solomon, founder of Gil Solomon and Company. Raise a glass, thank you. Luckily for us, the gorgeous, the amazing, the bright, the one and only Agadana May, general manager at 21M Capital.
Cheers.
Hello. Of course, I can't do this without a Brit who can really drink, and that's Adrian Daniels, partner member of high-tech cryptocurrency and blockchain and venture capital groups at the firm of Yigal Amnon, and Company.
It's a very long intro.
I know, for the love of God. And of course, Michael Susan, whatever you like. God. Okay, Blocks content and product marketing manager. Keep that tone. We've got something about porn coming up. Okay. So, and of course, a treat today, joining us live from a rooftop in Singapore, from the Block Show in Singapore. Yes, there he is, the man who really will not survive that trip if he doesn't bring me a humongous present. Asher Westrup Evans, I hope that is a penicillin drink. With a gorgeous backdrop in the background.
Of course. Only the best for you, Yael.
Thank you, my dear. Thank you, my dear. We are going to start straight and dirty with something that has to do with where Asher is, and that is Bitcoin makes the front page of China state media paper. Has China flipped? What is going on? Let me read you this, and it's also crossed into mainstream media. The Independent in the UK reports, China's change in policy towards cryptocurrency and blockchain began earlier this year, prompting rumors that the country was close to unveiling plans for its own state-backed token. In October, after years and years of an effective blackout on the subject, adverts for blockchain course began to appear in popular Chinese apps and across social media sites. Then President Xi Jinping came out and basically decreed blockchain as a law. And now Bitcoin, a love letter on the front page. Also with the following tweet from Pump. The Pump basically afterwards tweeted, I believe we have that tweet. There we go. China is literally running front page stories about Bitcoin in their largest newspapers. Things are about to get very, very interesting. Asher, I want to start with you because you are in that neck of the world. And I think you had a chance to chase down CZ in an elevator today. But CZ being the keynote speaker in Singapore, did he make any references to what's going on with China?
Yeah, he certainly did. CZ came out, he had a keynote address early at the start of Block Show, and which he came out and stated that he's incredibly bullish on China, that when President Xi Jinping talks, people listen, and he's seeing it trickle down through the entire crypto economy. The important thing he noted that while the Chinese government has maintained a blockchain but not Bitcoin approach to how they're doing things, the fact of the matter is, if you want to understand blockchain technology, you have to start at Bitcoin. And that's an important point that CZ stressed. He said people, even ones that don't necessarily want to get involved in the crypto community, are inadvertently learning about these products. They're getting familiar with the idea. They're getting close to the notion of what Bitcoin really is. And as a consequence of that, knowledge is growing in China. CZ pretty much went on to say, straight out went out and said that now there are 1.4 billion more potential users of cryptocurrencies ready to go out there in China. And it'll just be a matter of time, patience, and a little bit of push to see if they actually are able to onboard those people into the future crypto economy.
Amazing in that respect. Not only that, Asher, before we let you jump off the balcony, do tell us, first of all, what is the main theme of Block Show this year?
Look, Al, I had a good chance to speak with Adi Fezi, the CEO and founder of Block Show, and he just told me the whole point of this is it's feeling the energy back. He said, he was back there in 2017, at Consensus in 2017, the famous or infamous Consensus in 2017. And he said he feels like the energy is back in the room after the lull of 2018. Now people are back. They're wheeling, they're dealing, they're trying to make good business. But more importantly, Al, they're more wise, better, more wiser, and more mature than the industry of the past. No longer is this just speculators trying to make a quick buck, Al. They're here to do some serious business, to build some serious infrastructure, and they recognize that good foundations are needed if you want to grow from there. And that's just what we were seeing throughout at Block Show on day one. I imagine we're going to see even more of on day two.
Okay. Now, what you need to do is go get your cameraman a drink. I want to thank you for joining us from Singapore. You're looking fabulous. Bring me some chopsticks. Now, That said, we all hate Usher because he's in Singapore and we're here. But nevertheless, Xi Jinping, China, Bitcoin on the front page. What is going on?
I'm not so surprised. I find the timing to be a little bit peculiar. You have a political climate right now between the US and China that is kind of growing rapidly and evolving, and no one knows what the ultimate conclusion is going to be. So when America right now is still trying to define or discover how they want to execute or handle Bitcoin and crypto and blockchain, China, on the other hand, seems to make a rapid 180. And now all of a sudden they went from hate to love. And I think that the timing of this political turmoil has something to definitely something to do with it, in my opinion.
I know where Adrian's like smiling like he doesn't agree.
Well, I'm interested. I'm interested.
You're good. You're very good.
Yeah.
I think this is just all about domestic politics. The Chinese are very smart in how they run the show. They clearly have, in Western terms, nefarious intentions with.
I was about to say, I don't trust them for as far as I can throw a stone.
Exactly. Their own cryptocurrencies are concerned. It's all about tracking the populace and what they do. It's about closer supervision. But if you're going to have a nefarious purpose, then you need to kind of introduce it by kind of letting the population feel that this is actually something that the whole world is using and how nice it is and look how good it is. And creating a sort of feel-good factor about it by introducing them to it, first of all, via blockchain. They'll get comfortable with the concept, and then they will kind of pivot off that.
You don't have to raise your finger, you can throw shit at them.
With the cryptocurrencies. I don't think it's anything about a love affair.
It's the Canadian in you.
It's nothing to do with a love affair with
But why
Bitcoin.
now? Last year they hated crypto. Why now? I think that the timing...
Because they're closer to bringing out their own cryptocurrency now.
I agree with you, but maybe a disclaimer, because I really don't think we understand China anywhere close to well enough to speculate about intentions and timing and so on.
It's a very valid point.
We have no idea. We can try to use our Western mind to impose certain ideas or speculation around what they're doing, but they think completely different than how we do. And I don't think we have a clue.
Not only that, I'll even raise this, guys. Listen, we know now, from the little that we know, and we can't really verify coming out of China, we do know they've been researching and developing on the blockchain sphere since 2014. This is not out of the blue.
It's a move they've been doing for quite some time.
For quite some time.
But why launch now?
And that's a good...
Why launch now? That's my question. I'm not saying that what they're doing is good or bad, nefarious or not. But why now?
Because, well, again, I don't know why now particularly, but right now China is suffering from a popular uprising in Hong Kong,
and an economic
the likes of which
uprising
it's
as well.
never seen before. And it needs, it's probably, I imagine the government's feeling a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit insecure. And so they know that they need to introduce this.
I just don't think it's a big enough thing for the average Chinese citizen. I can't imagine cryptocurrency being a platform that a president is going to run on or going to incite any more positivity from the populace just by introducing this idea.
I'm wondering, what if Ida said, look, when he says blockchain is now, it's part of your life. That's essentially what Xi Jinping came out and said.
Right.
And in the setting that was very much the party, and look at the setting that it all happened in.
I think you have to look at China. Look at things. We look at Western democracies look at things in relatively short-term chunks because that's how their election cycles work. China look at things in a much broader canvas. So they're looking at
everything has a 5-year plan.
5-year, 10-year, whatever it happens to be. So number one, they understand the technology and they understand that the technology is an important technology. Mm-hmm. For them, this technology is particularly useful because it has a facility, a utility that is very useful for them to track their population further. And so it all kind of fits together. And why at this point, why say Bitcoin's good at this point in time? Because again, their population knows what the currency is for, so they want to create something positive about it.
In addition to that, they also erased the ban around mining Bitcoin, which does nothing for them in terms of tracking the population.
Right.
So, like, it's maybe a broader thing. I'm really doubtful that they decided on it like 2 weeks ago because of some uprising, and then like it's a from what I know, the little that I know, and going back to saying that we don't know anything, they're very thoughtful.
There's never been a barrier to saying, to stating categorically that all sorts of opinions about something. The fact that we know nothing has never been a barrier to stating
to an opinion, to having an opinion on what to say.
Especially in Israel.
Yeah, it's Israelis,
So
exactly.
I have another outlook on this one. Look, basically, I'm an optimist, right? So, as I look
Clearly
at it,
by your color choice, right?
Yeah. Obviously.
He still thinks we're not going to leave Gaza.
Okay, but as an optimist.
Yeah. Don't get me into politics. Anyway, being the optimist there, China is actually, the way they move is building cities in a blink of an eye. I got a dance out of it.
No.
Musical accompaniment.
So basically the way they move is building cities in a blink of an eye, going into governmental actions like in a decisive manner. Now, the way they're doing it is, I think this one is actually, as you all said, it's a long-term move.
Yeah.
But I think it's a part of a mass adoption of crypto and blockchain in general. For example, now they're contemplating a land logistical line from China to the West through Kazakhstan. And one of the main issues that is being contemplated as part of this move is managing the entire supply chain on a blockchain. So,
they get it.
Yeah, basically, it's part of a long-term move and as a big part of mass adoption.
Well, I think, as I said, it's clearly not something that they came up with 2 weeks ago.
No, entirely. And I think time will tell what they mean. But let me tell. Let's move ahead to what's happening in the other side of the world. Because needless to say, Libra, at this point, we can all agree is looking somewhere between 2 to frickin' 5 years, for a launch. It's not going to happen anytime soon unless there's something. Yeah, at the end of the day. But Facebook, on the other hand, and Google sneak into banking this week. In the last 48 hours, Facebook Pay and Google Cash making moves into the payment space. Basically, Facebook, that was the interesting bit to me, is planning to start, and they announced it this week, rolling out Facebook Pay on Messenger and Facebook in the US this week. Initially, it will basically be available for fundraisers, person-to-person payments, event tickets, in-game purchases, and some purchases from pages and businesses that operate on Facebook Marketplace. They're going to merge all the payment from Messenger, WhatsApp, etc.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's Libra without Libra.
Thank you, isn't it?
It's Libra without Libra working on a traditional financial infrastructure. That's all it is. And they are keeping up with Apple Pay, Apple Credit Card, Alipay, and every other competitor that's already there.
It's actually surprising that it hasn't happened.
I couldn't agree more. Marketplace is booming and is a successful venture in addition to the Facebook.
Do we think it's a beta for Libra, or have they just nixed
No,
Libra?
no. Libra's predicated on such a different technology and architecture that I think it's going to be a while before they get enough approval.
It serves the same purpose for them, though.
Exactly.
Doesn't
Precisely.
it? Yeah. I mean, is it a move that spells to us they've given up on Libra? I'm beholden. I find Facebook as confusing as the Chinese when it comes to business strategy.
That's for sure.
I think Libra was a way to maybe try to overcome some regulatory aspects that they have with introducing payments into their platforms. But once that became cumbersome on the legislative or regulatory side, they said, okay, what the heck? Let's just do Venmo.
WhatsApp Pay has already been operating in India for the last month. It was their pilot program has been in India with WhatsApp Pay. Yeah. So it's not surprising that 1.5 months later they're launching it for the U.S. market.
I don't think this has any connection particularly to the success or otherwise of Libra. I think that this is more what I've been saying for a while. If you've been watching, and following my my frequent blogs and tweets on this,
which I do religiously. Go ahead.
Good, because I have none. I think the whole concept of cryptocurrencies, I think, is a bit of it's a flash in the pan. I'm not a big believer in that. There are 10 leading cryptocurrencies. Everything else, the other 1,000, 1,500,
and we all know that only one or two will survive.
Nothing's going to happen.
It's kind of like Highlander.
Well, it's also kind of like fiat. There's like 5 currencies that actually are worth something, and the rest of them are pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
And I think that at the end of the day, what we're seeing is the movement of tech companies, you know, understanding that what banks are doing, they're trying to improve their technology.
Let me ask you this,
and the technology companies are trying to provide banking services.
And
it makes sense.
And that's
and it totally makes
Google
sense.
comes out exactly what that says. Google comes out saying, okay, we are now going to venture and join with Citibank. We're going to basically, you know, invent this thing called cash, but with a CH. Terrible fucking name.
So cool. So cool.
So cool? You're the only
So
person
cool.
I've met who likes that name.
Puns?
Love it.
It's a pun.
Okay.
about-
It's a pun.
It's a pun.
Have you heard of
Cash.
have you heard of English cynicism?
Yeah. But then let me ask you this about Google. So they're doing this, which sounds to me like Alipay. Okay? It really does.
It is.
It
It
Alipay.
is
but
Alipay.
It sounds like
Google's case, it's another thing.
Paybox in Israel. I
It's
mean,
a data move. Data is key.
Absolutely.
Data is
key.
It's about two things. It's about data, and it's about the fact that all of our money in the next 10 years are going to be run through Facebook, Amazon, Google,
may.
and
If you may, what have we done then? If they just become the platforms for the old system.
That's the thing, though. Right now, we need to have people buying, selling, transacting. Let's use Facebook as an example. We need people already doing it. We need them buying, selling on Marketplace, and they need, when you buy something on Marketplace, you need the ability to pay for it as well. I think this is priming Facebook and the whole Facebook ecosystem to prepare for things like Libra. Right now, we're predicating it on a traditional financial infrastructure. But I'm sorry to tell you, Mr. Cynicism, the world is going digital, and the world will be
I agree with
cashless,
that.
and
I
the
agree
world
with that.
will use some type of crypto hybrid system. But I think this is an opportunity for Facebook to introduce this program, and eventually, when regulation is ready, when the timing is ready, when the world is ready, they'll launch Libra. People won't know the difference.
See, I
They won't know the
think
difference
there's a
because it'll
distinction.
be in the background.
I don't
and
dis-
that's what good technology does.
I
It
don't-
stays in the background, and the users get a seamless experience out of it.
I think some. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Go
Please.
ahead.
I don't disagree with you on terms of the digital side of things, but there's a difference between digital and crypto. I think that we are going digital, absolutely. I think the crypto side of things is going to kind of disappear mainly. I think, you know, the whole concept of this, you know, decentralized, you know, store of value, blah, blah, blah. I think that all that's going to die.
Really?
I think, yeah, I do. I think what we're...
How could you believe in that? We are working in a world where the gig economy is truly taking over everything we do, from taxis to renting homes to the way you get
Because I don't think-
Yeah,
the way
though
you,
I will.
the way
you
you
were
get a
talking
loan
about
is
the
now
gig
being
economy
You don't
apropos
need a digital...
Uber.
crowdsourced.
But you don't need a
Right,
digital currency for any of that.
No,
what
but
you
you
need...
need- sorry, please.
What you need is a provider that can provide the digital services in a manner, in a clean and easy manner that the user can use.
Is that not what we discussed earlier?
Through his phone,
Right.
you know, through his iPad, things that talk to each other in a manner that Google can say, or knows that you've been looking for whatever it is you've been looking for, and will say to you, and will suggest to you, I know you were looking for this particular product recently. I've just found the cheapest version online. Would you like me to pay for you and buy it? And it'll just do it for you. We won't see money. We won't feel money.
Right.
It won't be crypto
Absolutely.
money. It'll be fiat. The banks will be B2B enterprises that will simply work between each other to actually arrange the transfer
With
of the
those
funds.
platforms.
But that- all of this-
But the gatekeepers
but
will be
all
Google and Co.
all of this has nothing to do with blockchain,
Correct.
you know, vision,
Correct.
right? We started, it's funny
Correct.
because we started talking, you know, we talk about blockchain, decentralization,
Changing the
removing-
world,
changing
different
the world,
ideologies.
removing
Information.
central forces of power, control and power and whatever. And then so that was the dream, right? And then came Libra and we said, you know, it's not really decentralized, but it's like a consortium, so maybe it's okay for on-ramp
I hate
and,
that statement.
and
Yeah.
getting people comfortable, and so we became kind of comfortable with Libra because it's like on the way and blah blah. And so now Libra is not happening, and Google and Apple and Facebook
And
are
Facebook.
doing digital payments, and we're like, well, no, so it's not
But it's
decentralized
easy
and
for
it's
the
not
users.
blockchain,
But guys,
but it's
things happen in
digital, and
phases.
you can
Can I just go back?
transact.
Can I just go back to the principle of like when it first sort of started to happen, the whole crypto concept was in the shadow of the financial collapse 2009. It was said, we don't trust the banking institutions anymore. We want something new. What that has morphed into now is we want something that makes our lives easier.
But it's not true.
It's not
It's
just
not true.
that.
We didn't want something new. We wanted something
Different.
More.
different in essence.
Nor
And so replacing the banks with another
Platform
bank
for the banks.
platform that has, you know, maybe not the same interests, but different interests that are definitely not your interests, Then what did we do?
But
we
I
did
don't.
nothing.
I agree with you. But
We
I
did
think
nothing.
that's where we are.
We're
I think that's
glossing
where-
over
and
one
I
of the
don't
key
think people are that
issues.
ideological about this anymore. I think the longer we move away from the financial collapse, the less the concept of trust in banks is relevant. And what is now
Do you
relevant?
think we've moved
It's
away
not
from
just
the
that.
financial collapse? From that
We're
hovering
on
over
the
us?
verge of another
we
one.
are
Yeah,
suffering.
we're on the
We're
verge
on
of
the
a
verge
huge
of
one.
another
We're on the suffering of a potentially. Maybe we are. Maybe we are. Who knows? We're not there
And
yet.
world-
We
and
might be,
another
but
world war.
maybe we are. Maybe we aren't. But we're not there right now. The decisions that are happening now are not related to that. What they're related to, I think, is the fact that in millennial world, which we live in, is a world where people want things to be easier.
Easiest.
They're comfortable with Apple. They're comfortable with Amazon. They're comfortable with Google. Like
But
Facebook has
that's
needs.
not to a degree,
That's what we're looking at.
guys.
And I think
Millennials
That's
have
not the
other
notion
interests.
that got blockchain into the
I agree.
mainstream,
I
right?
do not disagree. Absolutely.
Crypto
I think
began.
we've moved
wait
from
one.
that.
Crypto began out of the need for anonymity, the need to avoid intermediaries,
Absolutely.
right? This is basically
That was the
basis
inception
for
of it,
crypto.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the inception. So this will not solve it. This will not be
Absolutely.
our savior.
Absolutely
I mean,
agree. But I think it will be.
think
But I think it is the future.
It is. Yes,
No,
but
guys.
unrelated.
It's
No
not going to
way.
solve
Parallel
that problem, but I
lines.
don't think anyone cares about that problem so much anymore. That's the thing.
I-
Maybe the idealists and the purists do, but I don't think
disagree.
anybody else does.
I
You're
disagree. I think
essentially
people-
saying that the sphere in many ways is lost.
But do you guys not see a problem?
It's a
that
Band-Aid,
If there's
maybe.
Alipay, Facebook Pay, Venmo, you have all these mediums of paying. But what if I'm on Venmo and you're on Alipay
You're
and you're
gonna
on
have an
Apple Pay?
interoperable,
How do we not
solution.
have a interoperable hybrid solution that is
You'll have
bringing we were
everything
discussing this
together.
earlier.
But you'll
Why
have it.
it should be like that eventually, where all these consortiums of people and organizations and financial infrastructures, for me, it doesn't matter what method I'm using. When I'm sending you money, the background, all the work, all the conversions, all that stuff should happen in the
The
background.
bridge is the US dollar.
The bridge
really,
should
for
be
all of
based
this.
on the companies, and
But-
they should take the onus should fall on them. The user should have a seamless and easy experience, no matter what
That I agree
payment
with.
platform
That's true.
they're
Okay.
on.
That I agree with, but I think all of this will happen more or less with the existing financial
System
Could
in
agree.
place?
system.
Listen, we
With
see
different providers. I think banks of today and banks in 10 years' time are going to look completely different.
Absolutely.
But ultimately, it will be the transfer of currency between banks, facilitated by different gatekeepers.
And this is fascinating, guys, but I want us to move along, though. I will agree with you on, and I actually had this discussion yesterday with somebody about how we are about to close a decade, guys, within about a month and a half, okay? And I think the
Remind me.
next decade is going to be the fastest technological decade that we've ever seen.
probably.
That it's going to move so fast, our life will be completely different by 2029. But with that oracle prediction, I want to talk about possibly the future of crypto, and maybe it's crypto for Bambi. Okay? Let's go. I call this item Bambi Does Bitcoin. PayPal has recently stopped processing. This is fresh. This is from today. Recently stopped processing payments connected to the popular adult website Pornhub. The news wasn't received well by numerous affected users. However, the company accepts cryptocurrencies, and famous crypto proponents seem to be pushing for further adoption. So, I think even CZ tweeted about this. We might have the CZ tweet here at some point. There we go. Sounds like an opportunity for crypto. That's from CZ. Who's now, he's...
What doesn't sound like an opportunity for crypto to him? Like everything.
Or porn, at that matter.
No, porn for that matter.
Porn is the first to adopt everything.
Everything, and porn, will always last.
Everything.
But I just want to, before we continue with this, I just want to give you Zachy Hennessy of BLOCKTV has had some taglines for this, which would be Bitcoin. Hung like a bull market.
I like it. I like it.
My favorite, starring Craig, it's so wrong, it's right. Okay. And this is where they should be focusing, according to Zachy Hennessy. Porn, you think wouldn't that, though, give us that bad rep that we have about being funny money?
Yeah, shady.
Shady, right?
I think porn has
Coin
been,
Hub.
it's like I just said, they've already been the first to adopt everything. They were the first to go online. They were the first to use AR,
true.
the first to do VR, high definition, HDR,
Peer-to-peer.
Dolby Atmos. They literally have everything that's cutting edge, they adopt. So I think it's not surprising that they want to introduce a new way to pay, especially when probably their number one payment method just blocked them.
Yeah, in many ways. Okay. Good
So-
or bad for the sphere?
Undecided until I'd give it a few months to see how it goes.
Because
and
one of our
see.
problems is reputation. You know that, guys.
Yeah.
One of our
I don't think
problems-
we can break our reputation. I think until we get some more government regulation, until we see it usable, or
Right.
day-to-day average Joes and Jills are able to use it, I don't think we'll ever see trust in it until that time comes.
Really?
Joes and Jills.
I think it's like in journalism. You're a journalist.
Gotta be
You know it better than me to confirm if it's actually true. But like there is no how do you say like no bad reputation, no bad news.
No bad press.
All news
No
is
such
good
thing as
news,
bad
whatever.
press, yeah.
But no such thing as
It's bad
bad.
press.
Exactly.
Justin's son would agree.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Probably. And it's easy.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm against porn, but
broad
but
statement.
that's such a much bigger issue problem with so many other things to talk about aside from how the payment is actually being made. In terms of reputation of the industry, it's bad enough as it is.
Yeah, can't imagine it getting worse
at the
because of
moment.
that.
So it's bad. So I mean, if you get I don't know who uses those websites, but
Right.
if you get them to use
Oh God, I know
Bitcoin.
so many. Yeah.
I don't know anybody.
is
None
it
of my
really?
friends. None of
That's
my
what they
friends.
tell
Yeah, that's what they tell you.
Unless you want
I wouldn't know
advantage.
how you
Look
would
at
know
their
whether your
crypto
friends
wallet,
use it
they're
or not.
sending payments.
Exactly.
Guys, it's trading volume increase. Huh?
Right?
Look at it.
Exactly.
Is PayPal is PayPal the main payment method?
Yeah.
For,
I don't know.
believe
What
so-
would
I believe
Facebook
so.
Pay do?
Right? There you go. Log in through Facebook. And if you post that you're on the Pornhub site,
Can
they'll
you
give you a
imagine?
credit.
Exactly. No, okay. Moving along though,
It
bad
just
reputation.
goes to show the power of the whole social woke media world.
Social woke.
No, good or bad, I just want to throw at you. We've had quite an interesting week at BLOCKTV with some one-liners, and I want to see if you guys agree. Okay? Because apropos this great discussion about the future of the sphere and is banking just going to kind of, pimp our idea and use it as a platform, we had a chance to speak to Tim Bayonne of OKCoin this week. And, Bitcoin mass adoption, asked him, what does he think? I mean, he's reputable, sitting there in Silicon Valley, really in for the long run. This is what he had to say about mass adoption.
I think mass adoption could be as close or as far as a way of a mere 3 years or actually 30 years. Because the type of mass adoption that we all talk about is it's like spending for goods as easy and as seamless as a credit card, which we all have in our wallets. So Bitcoin and crypto requires, to be honest, a lot of mind share and to be careful because it is a final payment activity. And therefore, I think it's still going to take a long time to get to that masses, but it will. I'm confident of that. I just don't know how long it's going to take.
3 to 30.
Well,
I agree and I disagree.
Yeah.
Is that a
It
good
can
answer?
succeed, it can
Depending
fail.
which one.
It can be huge or it can be small.
Yeah.
We might see mass adoption.
We may
might
not.
not. You can't
I
disagree.
agree. I agree.
You can't
and I
disagree
agree.
with
I
him.
agree and I disagree. Yeah.
No, but 3 to 30, I know,
helpful.
it's the most PC answer.
Sounds like a trumpet response.
I was actually not
Is he-
just
is
a Trump,
he-
it's a
Right,
politician's
right.
response.
It's
It's
a
a
politician.
politician. It's a
Right.
politician's response. I can go either way.
Yeah.
But let's say, okay, that made me think though, what do you think? Because if we're taking that 3 to 30, who thinks it's 3 years?
To mass adoption?
of cryptocurrency
Yeah.
as a main
Means
as a
of
mainstream-
payment?
Means of
I'd
payment.
argue for 7.
Ooh.
Well,
Yeah, I'd
needs
go
to be
for
a
5 to 10.
A payment token,
Token.
that actually
That everybody
A
jumps on.
stable token
a
of some
stable
sort.
of whatever that people can actually use is transaction volume is high enough and is
I think
user
China's
friendly.
on the way to
Even
it.
more
so
important, and I agree
don't
with
have
you.
it yet.
I agree with you.
JP Morgan coin maybe.
Even more
Will never
important, I
happen.
agree with you. We need insured usage when we have mass adoption. I want to know that final activity, final payments is not necessarily, the buck doesn't stop there. Because I think that the moment you have that type of immutability
Right.
and no ability to maybe, if you want to return an item, how do you get your funds back? And things like that are some of the concerns.
And
How do you
maybe
deal
custody
with,
as
how do you
well.
deal with the logistics of the daily, day-to-day transactions?
Just for the record, I'd like to say to be the panel's party pooper.
Dramatic pause.
Please, please.
I think it'll never become mass adopted.
So you actually agree
Bitcoin.
with OK coin?
I think I do. But
30
I'm
years.
Really
I'm
do?
not sure.
Really?
30
You
years.
think
Could be.
Bitcoin will
Yes.
never be mass adopted?
Yes and no.
Never?
No.
Never.
Really?
I think it's. I've been saying this all along. I think it's a nice sideshow to the digitization of
The world.
the flow of money, but the banks the banks together with the technology companies will
Are they
get
never gonna let it happen?
corner the market,
Technology
and
companies
the governments
will become the banks.
So we'll never
Correct.
have we'll
But
never
it'll
have
never be
we'll
an
never have
autonomous
any
currency.
other coin than a sovereign coin. To your point.
Correct.
Oh man, don't
That's
read Isaac
depressing as hell.
Asimov.
But
Go
why do you
away.
think that? I don't completely disagree, though.
Again, there'll be little bits and pieces, but nothing's going to really happen.
Even the event of, let's say there's a horrific, I mean, I hate the narrative of a financial crash. It will eventually come, a
Recession.
financial
Yeah.
recession.
Recession.
Okay, recession
Now we're
sounds a lot
talking
more
about
PC.
recession. We're not talking
It's gotta
about
be-
a crash.
It's
Yeah.
got to be global, and it's got to be in a way that just completely sees the collapse of a
Sees
bunch
the
more
collapse of
banks,
society.
and we're not going to
Yeah.
see it. We're just not going to see it. As far as I can see it, that it's just maybe it'll happen in the sort of a Quatermassian sort of world, but we're not there yet, and I can't see it.
And you know what? Maybe it's because people like Alan Greenspan, apropos because this leads to our second line of the week. Matty Greenspan had something to say about Alan Greenspan, who had something to say about the sphere this week. Let's have a look.
This is the guy that just recently said that the United States can never default on their debt because they can always just print more money. This is a very old school finance way of thinking, also a bit of a dangerous way of thinking, but let's not forget that this is the man who presided over the financial crisis. He was the chairman of the Federal Reserve when the doo-doo hit the fan over there. So we always need to listen to what he says, but he's not the kind of guy that you're going to come to for technical advice.
Yeah.
Or have him babysit your children.
Have him babysit your children. When Alan Greenspan, who used to be the end-all and be-all and whatnot, says that there is no point to a digital national coin.
Agree.
Agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, do.
Really? Yeah. Okay.
Really?
Yep.
Even you?
Yep.
Yeah,
Mr.
even me.
Positivity.
Yeah.
Why?
Because the whole point about a digital coin or cryptocurrency, I don't like that.
Whatever,
the
whatever.
notion of
Don't
using-
label
We
it.
already
Yeah,
have
yeah.
digital coins,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
You can't back any dollar with a printed dollar these days, anyway. So why would I have it nationalized? I want crypto to be multinational, like Bitcoin, with no strings attached.
Yeah, but you do. The mass of the people don't really care.
They
They don't
know
know.
better.
They don't know. They need
I
to
know
care.
they don't know, but come
That's
on.
the
I mean,
problem.
again, I will resurrect. No, sorry, Foosh, you're still with us. I will, refer to my 85-year-old mother, okay, who really doesn't care as long as something is easy. And there are many people like that. Also, one can argue that millennials are as such. Millennials,
Millennials have also other agendas. They care about sustainability. They care
Social
about
responsibility.
social responsibility. They have not all of them,
right?
but generally speaking,
It's
they
a
have
growing,
agendas.
trend, yeah.
They have agendas. They're a shitty generation in some.
I
Other
will agree.
aspects,
Sadly, yeah. I love the millennials.
But
I
you
know,
can say the
they're-
same about Mr. Greenspan's generation. I think his archaic way of thinking is no longer valid in today's.
But it is still
evolving
running the
society.
world.
I'm
Unfortunately, they are. But I think it's what we were saying about technology companies becoming banks. Once the technology companies become the banks, they don't need J.P. Morgan. They don't need Goldman Sachs. They can bring those guys into their own unit. They become their own banks. Apple Pay,
But it doesn't-
Apple
but
Credit
it doesn't
Card is
mean-
literally their own bank.
I agree. I agree with all of that, and I'm not saying it from a sort of a place of the state is always too big to be brought down. The state's not too big to be brought down, and the world is really going to change. But at the end of the day, there are enough alternatives right now to have technology companies provide the kinds of basic solutions without going into the ideology of those solutions, the kinds of solutions that people want without having to use a new kind of currency, and the world will always follow the line of least resistance, which means that that's the line that's going to be taken, and that's what will happen, and which means that you'll see fiat, you'll continue to see fiat, it'll be run differently to how it's run today,
Right.
but it will always be fiat.
But why can't fiat and crypto still operate together in tandem and just run parallel to each other? And they can operate on our phones the same way. If I'm choosing what credit card I want to pay on, I'm going to choose my Bitcoin wallet to make my payment.
Because it doesn't need to. Because it doesn't need to, and it has its own technological problems now, whereas fiat's there, the infrastructure's there,
Yeah,
and the
but
technology
I have
companies
to
are going to
send
adopt
money.
it.
It's even going
I
to
have to
use
send
machine
money to
learning or whatever to know like what's the preferred type of payment to save you
Right.
most money, and it will automatically
You
do
have
it.
to send money. So my sister sent me money from Toronto to Tel Aviv, okay? And the amount of fees that I had to pay, the time I had to wait was ridiculous.
So that
and whether it's PayPal or wire transfer or
anything.
or
It's
not just that.
anything,
It's days
it's
of use.
unbelievable.
I
It's days
agree
of
with
use.
all
that. Yeah.
Last week I was in Malta for the blockchain summit.
Yeah.
And soon I'm flying to Switzerland. Now I need to switch between 3 different currencies: euro,
crazy.
shekels, and now francs. If I have Bitcoin and it's global, I have one currency to use on all of these places.
Maybe we need Generation Z to jump on the train and
Yeah,
say
because
that's all we want.
Today, all the politicians are the generation that is used like media, newspapers, all of this.
Right.
But in 20 years, we'll have presidents that as teenagers were on Facebook.
Yeah.
And are technological.
I don't know.
are tech savvy.
I just look at the top 10, cryptocurrencies: Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dash, Ripple. How many people use them? You got the aficionados, and this is 10 years in already now.
I think
10 years in, one can argue, is not that much historically.
Yeah, especially
It's not that much
but in the
historically.
age of
For
adoption,
the revolution
but
of
in the age of
money,
adoption,
it's
Yeah.
definitely
Not
not,
that long.
enough
maybe
time.
not,
Yeah.
but I just think all the solutions that apart from the ideological ones of decentralization, all of the solutions that these currencies recommend can all be provided by fiat and banks and technology companies working together, which will
billions of dollars worth of fees that are our money are collected every
But
year
that'll
from
change.
those
You're
institutions.
right, and that will go down and down and down.
I think that the issue at hand is the fact that right now it's the young people that are going to control how things move forward into the future. And I think that those young people haven't reached a certain level of position of power that they can actually start to make things real and possible. And I think that there is, no offense to anybody in this room, but there is age gaps that force a different outlook and perspective on the future of
You're
crypto.
talking about me, aren't you? Just kidding.
I am 25 and remain 25.
I'm seeing the
talking
bottom
about?
of 50.
I
proud
just
of it.
had my birthday and I'm 27.
Exactly,
And that's
there you
where
go.
that's my go-to answer. How old are you? 27. For years.
But I
Only
want you to
27.
raise your glasses. You've
So
been
you
fabulous,
are-
and I'll tell you what
so you
the
are 2 years
solution
older
is.
than me.
Adrian,
Okay.
exactly, my dear, raise your glass. The future is not, we don't need the young people in power. We need more women in power.
Ooh.
There you go.
Cheers to that.
Hello.
All right.
We were Blockchain on Booze, and BLOCKTV will be right back.
Yeah. So,
For more news and updates, follow us on Twitter.